This comic is rated R for nudity and violence, just like I like it. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Before I do my review of Bobby Joe and the Appalachian alien apocalypse, I wanted to give everybody a progress report on the Isis the Beauty Myth comic script. Now, I completed the first draft of the Isis the Beauty Myth comic script, and it's at 68 pages at this point. And this script captures the heart and soul of the 2013 novelette I published, Isis the Beauty Myth, and reads more like a manga than a comic book. And I'd love to make this my next comic project after last year's John Haynes at Death's Door, and I really need your help to be able to make this my next comic. So if you guys could go out here and drop a donation to the PayPal or the Cash App, that would help me move this comic project forward and be able to get the next SJS Direct comic into everybody's hands. Now, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare did a review of Bad Bug's Bobby Joe and the Appalachian alien apocalypse right around the time they were doing the Kickstarter for the second issue. And you guys should sub to Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare's channel because she has some absolutely fantastic comic reviews, and I would want you to check them out. And now, when I heard her review, I went over to Kickstarter and I checked out the pages, and I really loved what I saw, so I dropped a pledge for the digital version of number 2 and picked up issue number 1. And I'm really glad that I did pick up both issues in digital format, and I wished I had picked up the paper versions because this book is one of the best comics of 2023 and is on its way to becoming a comic classic. Now, Bobby Joe and the Appalachian alien apocalypse really reminds me a lot of another independent classic, Hack Slash, and Bobby Joe's character really reminds me a lot of Cassie Hack, who is a girl who's a bit of a misfit, who goes out here and is like the final girl in the slasher movies and takes her power by going to take on the slashers. That's what Cassie Hack is like, but Bobby Joe is a bit different. She reminds me a lot of Rogue from the X-Men cartoon as she's taking on these aliens and is like the final girl of those alien horror movies, taking on all of these aliens in her neighborhood. Now, Bobby Joe has that sweet southern flavor and has a very distinct feel, and that's something I really liked about this comic, that it just feels so unique and distinct. You feel like you're down south and you can just feel the heat from that swamp in the bayou. I mean, this comic, again, really is one of the best ones I've read in a while. Exceptionally well done, and exceptionally well done writing and great art, all coming together for a great story. Now, I really love this cover because it captures the spirit of Southern life. I mean, you got sexy Bobby Joe draped on the hood of her El Camino, and then you've got these aliens going out under the car, and she's looking like she's getting ready to go do some work to take them out. Now, this comic, again, has really great writing by Scott Wilkie. I think this guy should be working over at Marvel and DC because he does an exceptionally well done job of crafting this story and really bringing these characters to life, and they become rich and multidimensional, and the art by Michael Maine just really pops and comes to life, and David Lentz's letters flow right into it, and John McLeod's editing really brings everything together. So this creative team should give themselves a round of applause. They've done an absolutely fantastic job on this book. Now, this book is rated R for nudity and violence, so I really can't show much, but it opens up with this woman coming to the bar looking for some help for her to get her car fixed, and this poor deluded simp here goes out here and tries to help her, but sadly what happens is something that's really tragic, and we got Bobby Joe who's coming out to go deal with this situation, And Bobby Joe, again, she's a sweet southern girl, as this alien is taking out this poor deluded simp, and she decides to take them out. And again, this sequence really reminds me of what happens with Cassie Hack from Hack Slash, and when she's taking on a slasher, but instead we've got Bobby Joe, who's a bit more like Ripley from Alien, and she's out here looking to take out this alien that's out here then fed on her friend. So everything here is exceptionally well done for this sequence in the comic, and I really can't show too much because, again, I don't want to go out here and take away from these creators and their hard work. Moreover, I don't want to go out here and reveal too much because this book is rated R for nudity and violence, and that violates YouTube's community guidelines, so I can't show everything else in this first issue because everything here is a bit on the graphic side. So can't really show much as related to what's going on as related to this book, again, because it is rated R. But the story progresses very nicely in this first issue. It does a great job of introducing the antagonist, which is the aliens, does a good job of introducing a very charismatic heroine in Bobby Joe, a character that really just pops off the page, and you can imagine her voice in your head. When I listen to her voice in my head, it really reminds me a lot of Rogue from the old X-Men cartoon. And she just, again, comes across as a really cool character who I want to read more about. And the second issue delves deeper into this Appalachian alien apocalypse. And this second issue is another exceptionally well done book that further develops the character of Bobby Joe and further develops the character to the point where you really get to know her and get to know her struggles. So this second issue really lets us get to know Bobby Joe and really lets us get to know what she sees as related to why she's fighting these aliens. So this second issue is even better than the first. It does a great job of introducing more character development to Bobby Joe, but also shows us her Martian pet dog. And this Martian pet dog is a lot like Vlad from Hack Slash. And this second issue is so good that what it does is it makes you want to go out here and read the third issue. Now, I don't want to give away too much about Bobby Joe because I want you guys to go out here and pick up your own copies of Bobby Joe and the Appalachian Alien Apocalypse. And this book won't be an apocalypse to your collection. It's going to be something that's going to be a book that you're going to be anticipating getting the next issue. And as I was reading both of these issues, I was, again, anticipating picking up the next book. And that's what a good story does. It introduces you to characters, lets you care about them and connect with them. And this book, again, does not disappoint. This is another absolutely great comic I don't want you to miss. I don't want you to miss Bobby Joe and the Appalachian Alien Apocalypse, and I'm hoping that Scott Wilkie and Michael Maine are able to go on for a long, great run, the way the Hack Slash was able to go on a great run with Tim Seeley, and I'm hoping that this book helps them be able to go out here and work for one of the bigger companies like Marvel and DC, because this creative team has a lot of talent and potential. And what I see here with what they did with Bobby Joe was do an absolutely fantastic job on an absolutely fantastic book that I highly recommend you go out here and pick up. And I'm hoping that Bad Bug opens up a website because they'll easily be able to sell more Bobby Joes easily because this book is just so well done. They'll be able to sell them outside of the Kickstarter. And my only regret is I didn't pick up the paper copies. I just wanted to test this book out and find out what it was like. But now that I know what it's like, I definitely want to pick up the third issue and the other back issues on the next Kickstarter, because this one really reminds me a lot of Corey Hardiman's Sister Mercy and reminds me a lot of Tim Seeley's Hack Slash, where you get this rated R nudity and violence, and you get horror with a lot of action featuring a strong heroine. This is how you write heroines. This is how you craft absolutely fantastic stories. Bobby Joe and the Appalachian Alien Apocalypse shows us that you can write a compelling story with a heroine, give her rich depth and multidimensionality, and just give you an absolutely fun story that you want to go out here and pick up the next issue. Yeah, it's rated R for nudity and violence, but that's how I like my comics with my heroines, and that's how many guys have to do it. I mean, I was stuck in a jam where I was thinking, do I want to do a PG or an R-rated version of Isis the Beauty Myth? Because in the Beauty Myth novelette, there are some R-rated scenes, but I don't know if I want to do an R or a PG version. But looking at this comic, it just is, again, I am really floored at how great this comic looks. I'm really floored at how great the story is. And I'm eager to, again, pick up that third issue. Bobby Joe and the Appalachian Alien Apocalypse is definitely one of the best comics of 2023. And I urge you to head over to Bad Bug or head to their next Kickstarter and get the next issue or the back issues of this absolutely fantastic book. Now, if you want to pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, which was on the 2022 Kickstarter, you can get a copy of a paper version on Lulu.com right now for the same price that it cost on the Kickstarter at Lulu.com. And if you want to pick up my first full digital comic, Esteem No Good Deed, which I did with Bill Walko, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents on Amazon.com right now. And if you want to pick up the books on the SJS Direct imprint that are a part of the SJS Direct universe, like the Isis series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, my vampire novel Eternal Night, my sorority novel The Thetis, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.